Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Well, yesterday, in quite a startling press conference, Donald Trump said this.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of acetaminophen, is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism.
Tylenol is our equivalent of paracetamol. And yesterday, Australia's Therapeutic Goods Administration said paracetamol remains pregnancy category A in Australia, meaning it's considered safe for use in pregnancy. This was a very dangerous press conference yesterday. To find out what's the truth behind all of this, we're joined by one of Australia's leading health experts, Dr. Nick Coatsworth. Good morning, Dr. Nick.
Hey, Amanda. Hey, Jonesy.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
How did you respond seeing that yesterday?
Oh, look, it's so difficult with Trump. I mean, you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and then every time he just throws himself on a grenade, really, and throws the rest of us on a grenade as well. I mean, what he's alluding to is a series of studies that showed that there was a correlation. So with Panadol use and kids who ended up having neurodiverse disorders, in only a few studies. Now, they were studies from reputable universities, but this is just a link. It doesn't prove cause and effect, and we have to remember that whilst there are these few studies that did show a link, there are many, many more studies that didn't. Now, Trump, in his usual way of not being able to see any shades of grey, comes out and says there is a very increased risk of autism if you use paracetamol during pregnancy. Didn't he stumble over acetaminophen? It's not an easy word to say, I have to say, but look, there's not. We don't have the evidence for that, and but we do need to study it. I mean, that's the problem with Trump. There's kernels of truth in everything that he says, and it is something that needs ongoing study.
So if you're a pregnant lady at the moment, say you've picked up a bit of a cold and you're running a high fever, is it better to take paracetamol or let the fever run its course?
Which is what he said. He said women just tough it out.
Yeah, I mean, come on, isn't that just classic bloke telling a pregnant woman what to do? Just go and tough it out.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's any difference in the advice earlier in the week to today to tomorrow. I think if you feel like you need pain relief or you've got a fever that you want to bring down with medication, then paracetamol is your best choice, and it continues to be the best choice.
And it's dangerous, isn't it, for women to not take anything?
Well, I think if you sit there with pain or you sit there with fever for several days in a row, then you should take something for it. And the other thing that again, stripping back all the exaggeration and the falsehoods, if you're a woman who is needing to take Panadol fairly consistently during pregnancy, then there is another issue at play that you need to engage your obstetrician or your midwife or your GP with. So, of course, you shouldn't sit there with pain or persistent fever and just try and manage it yourself. But that's a different question. Trump's going out there and saying, tough it out, don't take Panadol. And I think in Australia, we're clearly saying, no, don't do that. Panadol remains a category A drug. And it's a medication, guys, that's been studied for decades. I've got a close colleague who did her PhD looking for a link between paracetamol and asthma, for example. When you have large exposures of medications to pregnant women, you have to study them. So on that level, that's probably the only thing that Trump got right yesterday.
It's interesting that he's speaking about this vast increase in autism. What I've heard other experts say is there's been a vast increase in the diagnosis of autism, and the net is now much wider. People with Asperger's are put in that same category as people who do have severe intellectual disabilities. It's a big, wide net, and a whole lot of genetics, a whole lot of other things come into play when you're looking at the causality, and no one really knows what causes autism. You can't just say this is a major factor.
No, you can't. And I think that's a really important thing when you're looking at that word causality, because all the different studies have been done with different populations of kids with different criteria. So some you're including people with severe autism, some you're bringing in the mild, some you're bringing in the moderate. So you're just not comparing like for like with the studies. It makes them very, very difficult to do. if we were going to see what we call a signal, as in there's a hint here that we need to go further and we should make some sort of statement, I think we would have seen it by now. And I've looked at the studies that Trump was referring to. Again, those studies done at the Boston birth cohort. There's studies done out of Harvard. Those studies do exist. But what they don't do is prove that there's a causal link. They just suggest that we need to do more study.
Take two and call Dr. Nick in the morning. Thank you.
That's the one, Jonesy. I won't bill you either. Bulk billing.
Dr. Nick Coatsworth, thank you for your levity. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.